Depression and acceptance are two more of the emotions you will most likely experience during your process of grief. This is part 4 of grief and loss. Today we're exploring more so the depression side of that, and then we'll talk about the acceptance. So the depression can present itself in the physical body as fatigue, nausea, interrupted sleep or sleep issues, numbness, and lack of interest in anything, whether you cared about or not, is total lack of interest. And then digestive issues also. Still the brain fog and whatnot. But those are the main issues that you may experience. The actual physical body of this, depression is affected by the heart, the lungs, and your immune system. So you may also find yourself really run down, maybe not sick, but just feeling off and not physically good. So remember to deep breathe, to open the lungs, and to exercise to keep the heart functioning well. And that will also help. Part of the depression too is your brain, the neurology. Some of those connections in the brain might be starting to release, and you're moving into the acceptance. So remember, we talked about the neurons and the connections of the brain, and how the brain doesn't know that this isn't real, that person isn't there, that the job isn't there, that the relationship, whatever, isn't there anymore. Still thinks it's there. So it takes time to disconnect. And as you move through that depression into the acceptance, I think that's probably when the brain is actually starting to disconnect some of those neural pathways that have connected over all this time. So as always, sleep, nutrition, exercise, and quiet are going to be your key factors in moving through the depression into the acceptance. And I have one more that we'll tackle in the next video. There are a couple of things you can do energetically, physically. Eat well, get exercise, fresh air, sleep. You know that. It's kind of a theme throughout this entire process, and just for general good health. Keep that up on an energy level to connect your chakras and your energetic bodies. Chakras and meridians, all those energetic systems actually flow from the bottom up. Normally we think it flows down, but these systems work from the bottom up because it pulls from Mother Earth the energy and it flows up through the body. That's why they say Kundalini rising, because it rises up through the chakra system. Excuse me. And that's why once you're enlightened, you reach the crown and move into the soul chakra that's above the head. So to reconnect and to balance and to keep that energy flowing with love and kindness for yourself through this process, I'm going to back up just a little bit here, is you're going to draw a heart like this. And you're going to start at the root chakra and just draw a heart, connect it through the solar plexus. Start at the solar plexus and draw a heart up through the heart chakra. Start here and connect a heart again, then up through the crown chakra. into the third eye. So you've connected all of your chakras with love and kindness for yourself so you can keep that energy flowing. Now, we know scientifically that the left side of the brain coordinates to the right side of the body. And the right side of the body functions, it coordinates the left side of the body, right? The same thing holds true for your energy systems. You need the energy flow to both sides to connect both sides of your brain. So, to cross your energies, to keep it in balance, curl your fingers just a little bit and start on one side and dig a little bit into, the back of your shoulder here, and then pull it across your body down to your hip. Same thing with the other side. Dig in just a little bit and cross down over your heart chakra to your hip. And do that at least 3 times to cross your energies to stay in balance. You can always end with a good deep cleansing breath and a slow exhale through the nose, okay? So that helps with the energetic body. The others, the exercise, the nutrition, will help with your physical body and with your mental health, because getting outside and walking is one of the very best things you can do for your mental health, to keep clear thinking, to keep the brain fog away, just to keep the body functioning on a good level. One other suggestion I ran across was aromatherapy, and I use that for a number of things. Now, you don't need a diffuser or anything like that. You don't have to burn incense. You can just get one of these little bottles of essential oil. And the oils that you would want to use to help with the depression would be lavender, bergamot, or eucalyptus. So you get your little bottle of essential oil, and you can just take a good whiff. Inhale it. Oh, it smells so wonderful. Or you can take a drop and put it on a light bulb. You can use it like perfume, dab it here if you want. Just keep it with you. Use a diffuser if you have one. That would be awesome. And it will help to lift that depressive, heavy energy to help lighten you up somewhat. But most importantly, if this gets out of control or you just can't handle it, don't let yourself slip into suicidal ideation. Go and get professional help. Sometimes the pharmaceuticals, the drugs are needed depending on the severity of your depression. Prime example of this is one of my aunties. She had 4 children. And I was so young when this happened, within 3 or 4 years, she lost half, 2 of her 4 children, to car accidents. She lost half her family. Between her and her husband, let me tell you, this is a prime example of when it gets extreme, seek help. Get some additional help to all these other things that you're trying and doing, okay? Do not hold back on getting professional help. Especially the combination of all these things will help you immensely. So please take care of yourself in the most appropriate manner. Okay? And I wanted to talk about acceptance a little bit. It seems so far away when something like this so shocking happens, and there's so much to work through. I would think depression and acceptance is toward the tail end of the process, or maybe you're kind of being forced into some of that, depending on the situation you're in. But once you hit acceptance, you come to that part of you, and I think that's where the neurologic, the pathways are starting that separation to give you a little more clear thinking, is you come to terms with it, and you know this is the new normal. I have to start thinking ahead and how to move forward. Now I need to handle X, Y, and Z. But don't be surprised if some of the other emotions creep in there, because again, depending on your specific situation, there may be some legal issues you have to deal with, which is going to bring in some of the anger again, and the confusion and the shock. Maybe there are some things you didn't know legally, might have happened. But there are some legal issues if there was a spouse or a breakup of a relationship, something like that. There will more than likely be some legal issues you will have to deal with, which is going to be a slow process with the acceptance as you move toward being just who you are and your life now in a different life. So the acceptance is one of the last things that you will probably process and work with. But once you're there, your thinking will be clearer, but don't be surprised and more than likely expect to see some of those complications arise too that you will have to deal with. And as you work through all of those emotions, the legal issues, if any, and the what next, your acceptance will be easier. I'm not going to say it's still going to be stressful, because this kind of a change is huge. But hit that acceptance, and now you can start discovering who you are. And that's some of what we will talk about in the next video for grief and loss. We will cover reinventing. Reconstruction is the way it was listed, is reconstruction, reinventing. And then I'll do a conclusion, a wrap up of all the little things you can do to help yourself as you move through the process. And I have a couple of analogies that may help to understand it a little bit better. So depression, aromatherapy, some energy work, and of course the biological, the physiological, nutrition, sleep, exercise, all of that. But take the time for yourself, and please seek professional help if it gets too bad or goes too far, to work with all these other things to help you through your process. There is no specific timeline for any one person, but it's not a place you want to stay. You do not want to live forever in the grief and loss. For your health, all around overall health, please allow yourself to move through it and find your new self. So for now, have an amazing week. Take very good care of yourself, especially with love and self-care. Be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself. And I will see you next week for the last of the series in grief and loss. So until then, peace and take good care of yourself.